and money. If you're behind on your taxes or you haven't even filed your taxes in years, stay tuned to this program for great news. We're about to introduce you to the revolutionary new team that's solving tax problems for people just like you, all across the nation. If you've got tax problems, it's time for you to meet the pros at the Tax Relief Line. This is a tough economy for a lot of people. We hear the stories all the time. Someone lost their job. They get behind on their bills. Maybe they have major unexpected expenses, or maybe they are even hit with sudden medical bills. Some people may be struggling financially in the aftermath of a divorce, death in the family, or other family issue. Maybe they're self-employed, or they run a business but just didn't pay their quarterly taxes on time, or maybe their business turned south. Now they just don't have the money to pay a hefty tax bill. Then when it seems like their situation can't get any worse, they get hit with their IRS tax bill. And if they can't pay it, because everyone is just a number to the IRS, that means they start the toughest collection process in the world. This can lead to wage garnishment, property seizures, and in some cases, they may be in danger of losing everything. Think about this. The IRS can be so tough. They were the only government agency able to take out Al Capone. And since you're no Al Capone, what do you think they can do to you? Wanda, a single mom with 2 children, working extra hours as a waitress, just can't pay all of her bills. And now she gets a certified letter from the IRS telling her she owes them $15,000. There's no way she's going to be able to raise that kind of money. Philip and June are older people on a fixed income. The IRS wants them to pay over $45,000. With everything that they've managed to scrape together over the years, they still don't have anywhere near enough money to pay that kind of bill. So will the IRS just decide to take their money out of their bank account? Now they are in danger of losing their home and everything important to them. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
For your free tax savings consultation, call this number right now. 800-296-1258. 800-296-1258. 800-296-1258. 800-296-1258.
Brian and Olivia couldn't pay their taxes, so they decided to just ignore filing with the IRS altogether. They thought maybe they'd catch up on their taxes next year. But the next year, they were even in worse financial shape, so they just ignored the IRS again. Now they've done the same thing for the last 5 years. Well, the IRS finally caught up with them. They have accumulated a massive amount of debt with the IRS. They're going in front of an IRS agent shortly, all alone, and they are absolutely terrified. These are just some of the examples of the kinds of tax problems that can happen to real people just like you. Every day we hear stories like this about good folks who are simply struggling to pay their bills. Each of them are living a frightening IRS tax nightmare, and they are afraid it will destroy their lives. If you're struggling with your own tax nightmare, we've got great news. The Tax Relief Line is here to help you. Now, you have a knowledgeable, professional team of tax experts that are ready to negotiate with the IRS and fight for you to save you money. The Tax Relief Line's professionals have successfully negotiated thousands of cases, reducing and sometimes even eliminating the tax debt for their clients. One of the things that seems overwhelming to people with tax problems is the myriad of details in the tax laws. These laws are so confusing, it seems that no one could ever understand them. There are over 75,000 pages of tax regulations. You can't know all these laws alone. That's why you should never deal with the IRS by yourself. The deck is always stacked against you. But the Tax Relief Line's professionals are experts in tax law. No one is better suited to help you with your tax problems than the Tax Relief Line. We'll be right back.
For your free tax savings consultation, call this number right now. 800-296-1258. 800-296-1258. 800-296-1258. 800-296-1258.
It's very easy to get started. Our friendly, knowledgeable representatives are ready to take your call. The call is free and your initial consultation is free. If you qualify, the tax relief line can stop wage garnishment, bank and property seizures, foreclosures, and other devastating actions by the IRS. If you own a business and the IRS wants to shut you down or freeze your bank account, you need to call us. We can help prevent these actions so that you can continue to make money. We can also defend you against state and local tax audits. We will position ourselves between you and the IRS so you have professional representation. Let us protect you from the aggressive tactics the IRS uses to get your attention. You need an advocate on your side. Don't fight the IRS alone. We will show you the options that the IRS may never tell you about. We can even show you how it may be possible, in some situations, to reduce your tax debt to zero. When you have professional representation with the state, IRS, or a court, your outcome may be significantly better. Even if you have not filed your taxes in years, wouldn't it be great to be free of the fear and stress of having the IRS take virtually everything you own? You don't have to live in fear anymore. You can make the call anytime during this program. The call and the consultation are free. Now, maybe you're wondering exactly how all of this works. How can one simple phone call save you from a devastating judgment by the IRS, state, or local tax authorities? When we come back, we'll show you how the process works. We'll show you how a single call to the tax relief line can help you get on the road to financial freedom. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
For your free tax savings consultation, call this number right now. 800-296-1258. 800-296-1258. 800-296-1258. 800-296-1258.
About a year ago, the IRS contacted me demanding money. I thought I had been doing fine because I filed my taxes every year and on time, but I made a big mistake which came back to bite me. That mistake cost me big time. Next thing I knew, the IRS said I owed $15,000. I didn't know what to do because I didn't have that kind of money laying around. Then I saw an ad on TV for the tax relief line. I gave them a call, and after I gave them all the information they needed, they went to work and told me they'd get back to me. Well, they did in about a week, and they said they were finished with my case. I only owed $235. I don't know how they did it, but I don't care. All I know is I didn't have to pay $15,000.
Welcome back. Did you know the IRS has over 75,000 pages of rules and regulations and hundreds of penalties for people who have fallen behind on their taxes? Did you realize that the IRS charges interest on the debt that you owe? Were you aware that the interest and the penalties can compound, multiplying the amount of money you owe the IRS exponentially? When you consider all the penalties and interest for any money that you may owe the IRS, as well as how everything is hidden in thousands of pages of ever-changing tax laws, you will never be able to know. It may seem hopeless, but it's not. That's why you need an advocate from the Tax Relief Line. Our seasoned professional tax experts study the tax laws daily. They are always looking for ways to legally save you money and get you in good standing with the IRS. They are up to date on the latest provisions for our clients and are very experienced in negotiating with the IRS. They handle thousands of cases a month. They do it daily. And when you're in trouble with the IRS, these kind of expert skills and advice are vital to your economic survival. Knowledge is power. So how can the experts at the Tax Relief Line help you? First, they need to know the details of your situation. When you call, they'll do a free phone consultation in order to get the vital information about your unique circumstances. It's a free call and a free consultation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
For your free tax savings consultation, call this number right now. 800-296-1258. 800-296-1258. 800-296-1258. 800-296-1258.
Many times, the IRS is incorrect in the amount they claim you owe. So an important part of our strategy is to challenge everything and look for ways to save you as much as possible. In many cases, there is a solution that our clients never knew about. We can find these solutions because we study the 75,000 pages of tax laws daily, continually looking for ways to save you money. Here are some of the issues that may arise when you are in tax debt. The IRS can file a federal tax lien against you. A federal tax lien is a public record that indicates you owe money to the IRS. Federal tax liens are filed with the county clerk in the county from which you or your business operates. Federal tax liens are public records, so they will show up on your credit report. This can make it difficult or even impossible for you to ever qualify for a home loan, auto loan, or to even get a new job. The lien is a public notice that you owe taxes to the IRS. The notice reads, "There is a lien in favor of the United States on all property and rights to property belonging to this taxpayer for the amount of these taxes and additional penalties, interests, and costs that may accrue." Federal tax liens can even tie up your personal property and real estate, meaning you cannot sell or transfer the property without having the lien removed so that you can transfer a clear title. That means you can't even borrow against your own property to pay your IRS bills. IRS tax liens generally last until you have paid the IRS the money you owe them. If you don't settle a federal tax lien by paying the IRS what you owe in back taxes or removing your liability through an offer and compromise, you'll probably not be able to get a release of the tax lien against you. An IRS levy is even worse. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
For your free tax savings consultation, call this number right now. 800-296-1258. 800-296-1258. 800-296-1258. 800-296-1258.
IRS levies come with a ton of paperwork, and most wage levies take so much money from your paycheck that you may not even have enough left to live on. This is one of the worst things that can happen when you are in debt to the IRS. Let's stop right here and remind you that our phone lines are open right now. You can call anytime during this program to get help with your taxes. The call is free and the consultation is free.
We had run our own business for a few years, but at some point hit a wall. The taxes built up and we couldn't pay it. It was like $30,000 in taxes. We tried to work it out with the IRS directly. It went on for what seemed like forever before the IRS refused to work with us anymore. They demanded full payment, which we just couldn't afford to do. And then they started piling on interest and penalty fees. We were getting pretty scared.
But then Caesar and Rosario called us.
The tax relief line told us that we were still in a 30-day appeals period, which we didn't realize. Our debt was settled for a lot less than the $30,000 the IRS wanted. Now we can sleep at night again. They really know their stuff, and they work fast.
In a wage garnishment, the IRS can decide how much of your monthly income it needs to pay off your debt, and they can take a percentage of every one of your paychecks. If your employer fails to provide the necessary forms for you to fill out that could limit the amount of your money the IRS can take, you could be hit with wage garnishments upward of 75% of every paycheck you get. When the IRS determines how much of your monthly income they are going to take, they don't care how much you actually have to spend on necessities. Instead, they rely on tables they've compiled of allowable expenses. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, IRS wage garnishment deductions could leave you without enough money to even pay your rent. We'll be right back.
For your free tax savings consultation, call this number right now. 800-296-1258. 800-296-1258. 800-296-1258. 800-296-1258.
I'm just a few years away from retirement, so the last thing I needed was to get letters from the IRS saying that I owed $50,000, including penalties and interest.
But then Bess made that call, and our tax experts turned things around for her.
They turned a bad situation into something I could afford to pay. Can you believe it? My tax bill ended up only being $1,200, not the $50,000 the IRS wanted. I still can't believe it. They are miracle workers over there.
Maybe you have been through a divorce. Many married taxpayers choose to file a joint tax return because of certain benefits this filing status allows. Both taxpayers are jointly as well as individually responsible for the tax, any interest, and any penalty due on the joint return, even if they later divorce. In some cases, a spouse can be relieved of the tax, the interest, and the penalties on a joint tax return. There are 3 types of relief available. These are known as innocent spouse relief, separation of liability, and equitable relief. But how would you ever know if you qualify for any of these? You need to call the tax relief line now. Understanding all of these tax provisions in the law takes experienced tax consultants, people who have your best interests in mind and will look for solutions that will benefit you. Negotiating with the IRS to establish payment plans, filing an offer in compromise to settle the debt, filing old returns, obtaining innocent spouse solutions, and convincing the IRS to lift liens or levies are some of our most important services. In many cases, you may have limited time to get a settlement. So call the tax relief line. They have successfully negotiated hundreds of cases, and they will speak to the IRS, state, or local tax officials for you to get you the best settlement possible. When we come back, we'll share more of the success stories of people just like you who were able to settle their tax debt for much less than they owe. We'll be right back.
For your free tax savings consultation, call this number right now. 800-296-1258. 800-296-1258. 800-296-1258. 800-296-1258.
The staff at the tax relief line was amazing. What a stress relief to find a company that has the power